So, Mark Griffiths, the botanist and historian, is saying that he thinks that this sketch is a portrait of Shakespeare done at the time that he was still alive. Why does he come to that conclusion? What's his theory?
Well, he has been working on this for 5 years, incredibly, so it's not a sort of flash-in-the-pan thing. And he was actually working on a completely different project, and he was looking at the frontispiece of this incredible book about plants and botany, by John Gerard, and there were 4 figures in it which were supposedly allegorical, and he began to work out which each figure was using a method of ciphers, heraldic motifs, and sort of emblematic flowers, and he worked out who the other 3 were, and then he was wondering who the 4th man was, and he then worked out using cracking this incredible Tudor code. It's rather like a mixture of the Da Vinci Code and Bletchley Park all mixed up. And he worked out this Tudor code and realised, amazingly, it was William Shakespeare.
What do you make of this up there in Stratford-on-Avon?
Hello. I don't believe a word of it. Sorry.
Have you looked at the code? There's so many. To do with flowers and Latin and
yes, I have.
Things?
Yes, I have. I've looked at the whole thing, of course, yes. We've got here a figure dressed in Roman costume holding a fritillary in one hand and a corn cob in the other, which doesn't particularly call Shakespeare to mind. We have what's supposed to be a code, but one has to ask, first of all, why code it anyway? You know, why produce a conundrum which will not be solved for 415 or so years. It just seems to be a total absurdity.
I have to say, he does look a bit like the bloke behind you.
Sorry?
The picture...
Well, it doesn't matter what he looks like. The visual appearance has nothing whatever to do with it. Anyhow, the bloke behind me was painted in 1610. When Shakespeare was 46 years old. The bloke on the title page can't have been more than 33 if it's Shakespeare, because Shakespeare was born 33 years before the title page was created. It's a lovely title page. The 3 other figures are identifiable. One as Lord Burleigh, who employed Gerard, another as Gerard himself, and the other as the original author of the book. The book is not actually mainly by Gerard, it's by a Dutchman called Dodoens, and he's the other figure, the one in the top right-hand corner.
So we heard that Stanley Wells is sceptical about this. He's not the only one, is he? He raises the question, why would someone make a cipher out of it, make a code out of it? And this book's been around for 400 years, so why wouldn't anyone else make that connection if it is him?
Well, the Elizabethans loved a code, and it was used quite a lot, this technique. It was a bit of fun. And the other figures are sort of coded. I mean, Lord Burleigh is there, but he's actually dressed up as Solomon. And at the time, if you were living at the time, you would have he was referred to a lot as Solomon, and you would have begun to work it out.
I mean, are there any connections between the other characters responsible for the book and Lord Burleigh and Shakespeare?
Well, that's the fascinating thing, because we haven't just discovered an image here. We have discovered a whole series of connections which I think could completely change the way we look at Shakespeare.
Such as?
You haven't discovered
no one quite realised that Lord Burleigh was his patron to this degree.
Mr. Wells, you're not convinced still?
No, but how, well, you've got no evidence that he was the patron. You're just inventing that yourself. There's no evidence whatever. Even if we took this to be Shakespeare, there's no evidence that that Burleigh was patron. That's just invention, pure invention.
Well, what you'll see tomorrow in Country Life, because the magazine comes out tomorrow morning, it's 19 pages that Mark Griffiths, the man who's discovered this, will explain all the absolute detail.
I look forward very much to reading it.
I think you will be amazed and astounded.
And next week, you've got a new play by Shakespeare too, haven't you? You've got all the luck, haven't you?
It is a new mini play, but we did want to do it all at once.
So, well, at least you both are agreed.
No, I can understand that. That wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be... That.
All right, let's see if we can end on a point of agreement. At least you are both agreed that Shakespeare of Stratford-on-Avon was the author of the plays. No dispute on that.
No dispute at all, and I think our discovery will absolutely confirm that he's the author of all the plays.
And Stanley Wells, finally, how often
This doesn't confirm anything.
how often do you have, in general terms, how often do you have new claims about portraits being discovered, belongings, manuscripts? How common an occurrence is it?
Oh, they're pretty frequent. People are always hoping, of course, to make new discoveries about Shakespeare. And sometimes they do. When I first heard about this, I thought, oh, how interesting, perhaps we're going to have a new genuine Shakespeare document, a new Shakespeare signature. Things can turn up. I'm not sceptical at all about the possibility of discovery being made, but I'm totally unconvinced that this is a discovery about Shakespeare at all.
Anyway, 19 pages of country life to get through tomorrow. Yeah, and you are convinced, are you? Because you're not the author of this.
I'm not the author of it, but I'm absolutely convinced, having worked with Mark Griffiths, the author, over several months with us.
All right, fascinating stuff. Thank you both very much indeed.